Hello everyone and welcome to Solshow.
Solshow!
Today we have a very special guest. We have your boy Keith Legion of Decoded. He sounds so enthusiastic to be here right now. Keith, introduce yourself.
Hi, and welcome to Solshow. I am, and forever might sometimes be in the future, but in the past there was a one timeline where I wasn't, Keith Legion. And you might know me from such things as this motherfucking podcast. We're allowed to say motherfucking on this, right?
Of course.
All right.
We're reviewing Split, the greatest M. Night Shyamalan movie in the past. When was the last time he had like a really good movie before this?
Wait, we're watching the M. Night Shyamalan. I watched the porn parody.
Oh.
I don't know if I'm qualified anymore to do this. I probably should go home.
It's probably close enough, man, in all honesty. It's probably, if anything, that's, his usual, for the past couple years, the quality you would expect, so.
Well, the last, I would say, The Happening and, Avatar were, Birdemic levels of bad films. You could laugh through them, but they were pretty fucking...
For everyone, bullshit intro out the way, I do actually really enjoy this movie. M. Night Shyamalan as a director, I think we all know, love, or hate him, and... Basically, any prefaces for this movie I had was, it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. That's all I need. Because I'm just vastly interested in this guy's career.
Yeah.
And if he puts out a good movie again, I gotta know about it. And I gotta see it. Did you see The Visit, though?
I did not watch The Visit. I heard middling to fair things about it, right? It was it was good, but it wasn't the tour de force that he needed to get his career back up and running after Earth.
Yeah, that's you nail on the head right there. I'm not even. This is gonna be a spoiler review, by the way, for anyone watching. We're not even gonna go into synopsis. So, Keith, what did you think of the film?
So, when we went into the film, I had heard a few things regarding it from when it was played at a few different festivals. And the buzz surrounding it was that it was a good film. It was probably one of the better films from M. Night Shyamalan, and that he had really come back to what he was known for, which had me a little afraid. I was kind of afraid that it was going to be full of twists, full of turns, and it is, but it's not in the typical M. Night Shyamalan way, right? It doesn't feel like the movie is reliant on a twist. Mm-hmm. The twist is that by technicality there is no twist, except unless you count the Bruce Willis cameo at the end. For all intents and purposes, I would say that it not only is a great sequel to Unbreakable, but I would state that it is a great film by itself, which is something that you have a very hard time doing whenever you see sequels, right? Because we live in basically a Hollywoodized fashion where movies are sequels and reboots. And this kind of was a reboot, kind of was a sequel for the Unbreakable franchise, because we've known for years upon years upon years that M. Night has been trying to go ahead and reinvigorate what he was trying to create with Unbreakable, as he had, a trilogy in mind. So taking that into consideration and knowing that it really only connects at the very, very end, I would say that it's a very good film because you can watch the film for what it is, not having seen Unbreakable, and still love every moment of it.
Right, real quick, I want to say, my favorite part of the movie probably was the Unbreakable part, because there was, those two audience members who were like, yeah, Unbreakable, and then everyone else was just like, why is Bruce Willis in this? What does this mean? That was, for me, that was just, the funniest part, watching that reaction amongst the audience. I assume you've seen Unbreakable, right?
Well, I hadn't seen it in years, and when Miguel and I got back, Miguel had never seen the film, so Sean told us that we had to go see it, and the next weekend, we all watched it together until we passed out, which, good film, still holds up.
Yeah, I saw it, a couple months before I saw this, and I didn't know anything about the Unbreakable part, so I was just kind of after a really good film like this, that was, the extra, mind-blowing little tidbit. And I think that was also, I think you mentioned this in your review on your channel. Plugs for Keith, by the way, channel down below, links all day.
The only plugs we get are butt plugs. Anyway, going on.
I think you mentioned how the concept of this movie is essentially a guy develops superpowers via his multiple personality disorder, and I think a lot of people were like, well, this doesn't actually happen in real life, and I think like the counter argument for that was, well, it's in a superhero universe, so we can do whatever the hell we want. And
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that allowed them to not only make this movie how they want it to be and kind of break the laws of the real world, but also this is essentially a supervillain origin story. And on top of that, it's also a thriller. It's also kind of a horror movie because we had like the final girl and like these intense scenes. A lot of tropes of different genres kind of meshed together, and it's also, an Unbreakable sequel, so it's a lot of different movies meshed into one.
Certainly. And one of the best parts about the film was the press coverage before it. And the lucky viewers or critics who had seen it at festivals knew but didn't want to say anything. Was there was a lot of negative buzz going in about, well, this isn't what DID is. And for those at home that don't know, DID is dissociative identity disorder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically hearing voices. It's not actually, well, no, DID is, schizophrenia is that. DID is having those kind of multiple personalities. And they're not as extreme as they are in the film. And so for the people who just watch the trailers, which, people that get triggered very well, that's kind of what they do. I mean, they're the same people that assumed that Harley Quinn and the Joker had a great relationship in Suicide Squad and that's what relationship schools are. But moving forward, because it is set in that superhero universe, it actually is and really harkens back to what M. Night does well, which I think that if you've seen the series Black Mirror as well, Charlie Booker does as well, which is they're very dark comedies. They're those comedic moments that have a lot of inference in them, right? So when you watch the film the first time, not knowing the twist, and I had the twist ruined for me before I walked in, so that was okay. I could kind of watch it a little bit differently. And for everybody else, they were like, yeah, like I felt bad for the people that have DID the whole time watching it. Whereas so myself, I'm sitting here watching it being like, oh, well, I know exactly what's going to happen in this scene, and I know exactly what's going to happen with the character. He actually, the twist is, there is no twist. He legitimately is basically building up all of these different personalities to create what he considers, or the personalities consider, the perfect surpassing of humanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that taken into consideration, it's actually kind of funny because when you think about all of the bad press that it was receiving and how M. Night just kind of took it on the chin and said, well, when you see it, you'll get it. I appreciate that because a lesser film, Terminator Genesis, Suicide Squad, things like that, would state, oh, no. You who are afraid that we're doing this, I promise it'll all make sense at the end of the film. Or they would spoil it and be like, oh, well, Bruce Willis was on set, so maybe it's something to do with Die Hard or Unbreakable. You never know. So I thought it was very nice that it was kept under wraps and that you can see kind of the comedic genius of trolling the audience with him not being the one who has a disease, right, or having a sickness or having an issue. It's everyone else who thinks he has an issue that actually does have the issue.
Mm-hmm. And as far as like offending people, I don't think for like review purposes it really matters. Like for me, like if a film or any piece of fiction really, like if they, like for instance this movie base this guy's disorder upon a real order, I don't think, obviously M. Night Shyamalan, he's obviously not intending to offend anyone, and this is obviously a very fictional universe, and it's practically a guy with super abilities. So I really think with how much it bends reality that like it's kind of silly to be offended by it. And this is also the same guy who like did After Earth and The Last Airbender. So like for people expecting a realistic movie about this disorder, I don't think they came to the right movie.
Certainly. Well, when you have films like Love and Mercy, who is based on one of the Beach Boys who kind of has schizophrenia, you have these people who see these films and immediately want to jump down the throat of people in the media because these are serious disorders and they want them to be taken seriously, right? And the twist, of course, being that it's not a disorder that he has. He's legitimately just creating the perfect specimen. So, no, I do, and I think that one of the things that I really enjoyed about the film, had to be not only the deliberate shots, because there are some slow moments. And what I mean by slow moments are not that, oh man, this is trotting along. It's more so it deliberately stops in the first time when they're in the cell together and all the girls are freaking out, and a regular director who doesn't want to create a tension or doesn't want to create this distance between the characters would focus on the action. And the action was both girls are arguing. One girl's kind of freaking out like, oh my God, I don't know how I got here. I don't know what I'm going to do. And one girl's like, I'm going to break the fuck out of here. And he chooses to not only focus on those two, but he focuses on the girl who's been kidnapped and seems to be handling it a little too well. Right? And that's really the cool thing is there comes a moment where it pays off, not even 4 minutes later, when James McAvoy's character grabs one of the girls, who is the one it isn't the one that's being rebellious, it's the one that was freaking out. He like grabs her, and the lead female in the film, the final girl as you stated, kind of leans in, grabs her face and goes, pee on yourself. Because she thinks she's going to get raped.
Yeah.
Right? Which gives you so much more context of this character without dumping exposition. And I respect that the film respects the viewers enough to not dump exposition. And after a year of films in 2016 where basically the film started up, a bad example again, sadly, and I hate saying it, is again Suicide Squad, is you had these films where it was like, Deadshot is a mercenary with a heart of gold, but really he kills people, but really he's got a daughter, and the daughter, and you're like, I don't need to know all this shit.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is the character at right now?
Yeah.
And hint at it.
Yeah, and M. Night Shyamalan, like with his movies, he gets these like really interesting concepts, but it's usually like the writing, which is like the big like fault with these movies. Like The Last Airbender, for instance, like going back to the exposition, had so much exposition just being dumped in like every scene, and movies like The Happening where the dialogue is just terrible. But with this movie, like it almost feels like it's written by someone else because I don't know if it's just because a lot of the dialogue is by James McAvoy. Is that how you pronounce his name? James McAvoy?
Yeah, you got it right.
Okay, and he's just killing every scene. So I don't know if it's just like the acting is that good or if there was script changes. But this really, like, I'm not even completely sure how much M. Night wrote of this, but it's actually written really well, which I haven't. Even if you saw The Visit, that movie, as okay to good as it is, it's not written that great. It's written like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Even The Sixth Sense, those movies, Signs, his best movies in my opinion, like the writing is not great, but it works because they're very like subtle, silent movies. And it just works in that environment, but like it doesn't transition to like The Last Airbender. But with this movie, it's like, it's not any of that. It's not awkward. It's not like super out there weird like his writing gets a lot of the time. It's just like a clean thriller movie. And like each of the characters that this guy's being presented as, like they're all interesting. They all have like interesting things to say. Like it was like the first time in an M. Night Shyamalan movie I was just like super interested with the dialogue.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, and I think that the writing was very, very up to par, and I think that maybe a lot of that has to do with that he was writing it in his prime, and then he had time to let it gestate and become something greater, right? I think he said that he had it waiting for like 10 or 15 years, because he had the outline for the character, and it was supposed to originally be a part of Unbreakable, but that movie's already 2.5 hours fucking long, so he had to go ahead and make sure that he condensed it down.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I think that those are my thoughts of the film. I mean, I think that it is a good film. I think that after 2016 literally shit on my feelings when it came towards movies, that, this is a great sign of hopefully what's to come just for the year going forward.
Yeah. To close it out, because M. Night was saying how this is kind of like the second chapter for this like idea that he had, and there might be one more movie. Are you interested in that movie? And then if you want to give a score or anything, or just shit on my scores like you usually do, you can do that too.
No, I certainly think that it'll be interesting to see how 3 happens. I don't know if it's going to be strictly, David versus, which is Bruce Willis's character from Unbreakable. I think that's his name. Yeah, I think it's David. Versus James McAvoy's character. It'd be interesting, right? The Horde versus the Unbreakable Man.
Yeah.
I think it would be more than that. I think that there will be more build up, and that'll just be one piece of it. I don't think it'll be this whole out fist fighting. It'll be more cerebral. I'd be interested in it. And for score, I mean, undoubtedly pineapple out of kumquat. Undoubtedly.
I'm
Uh,
yeah, I'm in that range, pineapple out of kumquat. My final thoughts, I go into every M Night Shyamalan movie interested mostly for the director. But this is the first one where I was like, this is a standalone movie and it has that twist which is really cool. But that's ultimately like 2 minutes out of what is otherwise, an actual really good movie. And like I said earlier, it's like a suspense movie. It's like a horror movie. It just fits all these genres, and ultimately, it's also a character study and a supervillain origin story for this movie that I hope gets a sequel. I don't know how much money it made, but hopefully it gets a sequel. I would see Split 2 just to see this story wrap up. But if it doesn't, it had a solid ending, and I would give it a strong 7 out of 10. Keith, any of your final thoughts?
I think that's good. I mean, I'd give it higher than a 7. I mean, that's not a pineapple over kumquat, but I'm not gonna argue with you in your own show. That's just bad taste.
I'm that's what I'm here for. Bad taste. Anyway, guys, thank you, Keith, for joining me. Of course, you can check out Keith's channel down below. Links in the description, where you can find a lot better podcasts and reviews than my channel.
Smash that like button.
Smash
I don't
that
care
like
if you like
button.
the film or not. Smash that like button. Maybe hit the share button. I don't know. Maybe don't share it. Sharing is weird. I get it, but sharing is caring. Maybe subscribe. You probably already subscribed. Resubscribe again. But don't unsubscribe, because if you unsubscribe, he loses another viewer. It's weird. Anyway, YouTube's fucked.
YouTube's fucked. That's a great way to end the video. Thank you, everyone. And with that, we leave you.